Right, it is. It is the 4th of March 2026 and I'm back on Morning Cafe this week. Karibu nijiambe, karibu sana. Karibu sana to Morning Cafe. I'm supposed to be welcoming you, not myself. This is where we wake you up the best way we know how hot is a coffee where you are.
Karibu sana, Fred.
Asante sana.
It feels new to you?
Oh yes, feels a bit fresh.
Feels like you're making your debut today?
Oh yes.
Karibu.
Come up from one. Yes.
It's for the 4th of March 2026. This is Morning Cafe. My name is Anne Odida. A lot is happening.
Oh yes. Internationally, of course, in the Middle East, the US embassy in Dubai has been hit as Iran continues bombarding different areas, including Bahrain and Tehran.
Yeah.
And
13 countries so far.
It is a melee. Now this is no longer a spat, it's no longer ile watu wawili, it's now a melee. Watu wengi wameingia, kila mtu anarusha ngumi, left, right, center. We'll be giving you more of that, especially the Kenyan, what do we call it? The Kenyan interpretation of the impact of this war.
Yes. Iran says when you go low,
we go lower.
We go lower. I mop the ocean with you. Today is also World Obesity Day. Wow. So according to the UN, they say that if 1 in every 6 people, 1 is obese. So in studio right now we are 6. So one of us is obese.
The funny thing they say about obesity is that don't look at someone and think that because they are small,
what are you trying to say?
That they are not obese.
I see where you're going with that. It's also HPV Awareness Day, and we've talked about HPV time and time again on this show. HPV is human papillomavirus. What it does is that it can cause throat and cervical cancer. So HPV, how it's transmitted is through close contact. And close contact is basically just sexual intercourse. So to solve this is through vaccination. There's a HPV vaccine, which of course we also have here in the country. And the Ministry of Health, the health professionals have been encouraging everyone, even the men, to take the HPV vaccine. It works and it's better before sexual debut.
Oh, wow. Oh,
yeah. So
is this the controversial vaccine that some girls were being given and then some communities refused?
Is it? Because I think HPV, from the conversations we've had here in studio, health professionals are really championing for that. So they recommend that by age 14, 15, thereabout for both boys and girls, then parents should start introducing.
But it's still optional.
It's still optional. Okay. So our question of the day today, it's Wednesday. Yeah, when it's Wednesday, we talk matters of the heart, relationship Wednesday.
Oh yes, and I like this question. Is a modern man scared of settling down? Or has commitment simply lost its value? And I think I already have an answer.
Are you a modern man?
Well, I'm not necessarily a modern man. Not ancient either, but I identify a lot with the many answers that we are already getting from this question, which was posted just a few minutes ago. Is a modern man scared of settling down? Or has commitment simply lost its value? Probably we've even given the answer in the question itself.
Commitment has lost its value, you think?
Because what dividends does a man gain from settling down?
Yeah. So you must gain something. What is a woman gaining from settling down?
Something must draw you towards seeking this settling down or commitment. So whatever that is, some few years back, there was a lot that a man could gain from settling down. Right now, probably the argument is there's nothing much to be gained from settling down.
What were the men gaining before now? What was there to gain?
Stability, social stature, from being called the fact that you have a family, even in politics. If you didn't have a family, you were not electable. Right now, just look at the number of single male MPs. Even female MPs, they don't necessarily need to be married.
So commitment has lost its value?
It's no longer a dividend. If I told you it's for social stature, it's no longer something to be gained from settling down. Get it?
When you say stability...
If you don't get it...
Listen, when you say stability is also lost, then you meant happy? No, I feel like the men, you are making this quite complicated. It's about the men. The question is about the men, actually.
Exactly.
Are men afraid of commitment? Modern men?
You as a modern man, are you scared of commitment? And why are you scared of commitment? Or do you simply feel that commitment has lost its value?
You've said something there that right now there's no value in settling down.
I'm wondering, trying to gauge what a young man from the Kenyan situation would be looking for in settling down. By settling down, I mean getting married. Right?
Yes.
What does a young Kenyan man stand to gain from settling down?
What does a woman stand to gain? Because they're settling down with a woman. I tend to believe they won't be settling down with a man.
Let them tell us then.
Hey, this is the conversation we'll be having at 8 a.m. Once again, we're asking you, Fred?
Is the modern man scared of settling down, or has commitment simply lost its value? Make sure you interact with us through our various social media pages on Facebook and YouTube at TV47 Kenya, on X at TV47 Digital. Remember to use the hashtag Morning Cafe TV47. You can also tag us at Fred Indimuli.
At _Dida, WhatsApp number 0793-267-279. Let's take a look at the state of the weather this morning. All right, let's see how the weather's looking across various parts in the country. It's still raining in Nairobi. And let's see how it's looking in Uasin Gishu. It's also raining this morning. It's 13 degrees as we speak. Highs of 23 degrees expected today. In Kiambu, it's also raining. This morning, it's 15 degrees. Highs of 23 degrees today. Kisii, they're experiencing heavy rains this morning, and it's 16 degrees. Highs of 22 degrees expected in Kisii today. We cross over to Kisumu. It's raining heavily this morning, and it's 18 degrees. 24 degrees is the highs expected today in Kisumu. Kakamega, heavy rains as well. This morning it's 16 degrees. Highs of 24. Kirinyaga, it's raining, and this morning is 17 degrees. Highs of 25 degrees expected today. And that's the weather situation. Let's take a look at the quote of the day.
You were not created to blend in, but to stand out. The unique challenges you face are the very things that will prepare you to achieve something extraordinary.
All right, let's come back and take a look at the newspapers this morning. Tunaanzia leo na gazeti la Taifa Leo. Anasema pale habari kuu kwenye ukurasa wa mbele, ODM yatishia UDA. Masuala ya siasa hapa. Katibu wa UDA asema ODM haipaswi kuwa na wasiwasi kwamba ngome zake zinavamiwa iwapo ni maarufu. Kulikuwa na mkutano wa wajumbe bungeni jana, ile inaitwa parliamentary group meeting. Baada ya mkutano wakahutubia wanahabari, wakasema sasa members of ODM will be going for zoning. Zoning simply means that if ODM, let's say for example in a region like Nyanza where most MPs are ODM, then UDA, if at all they get into that coalition, should not field any members of parliament there. But that is not really the bone of contention, whatever is happening in Nyanza. It's in regions that are considered battlegrounds, especially Coast Region and Western Kenya. Yeah. Because Coast Region had a lot of MPs from ODM party. Western, the same. I think a majority of MPs from Western currently, out of many constituencies, about 10 of them are from ODM party. But UDA has been making inroads there. So ODM says, if at all the current MP is from ODM, then UDA should stay away from that when it comes to the next election. Do you think they'll agree to that?
They have to.
ODM yatishia UDA ni habari kuu pale. Tazungumzia haya baadaye na wageni wangu hapa. Habari zingine zimepewa kipaumbele kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa gazeti la Taifa Leo. Pale chini, makachero wakusanya ushahidi. Pelelezi
wamaliza. You know, a question you've asked, let me just take you back. You think they'll agree? I was listening to Junet Mohammed yesterday, and he said the only thing they're not going to debate about is their parliamentary positions. That's
exactly what they're saying. Zoning.
Yes.
But
so UDA has to agree.
But they initially they had said that the one thing they would not debate about is a number 2 position. Yeah. So now they've shifted the goalpost to now the only thing they will not debate about is zoning, where they already have their parliamentary members. We'll have to see. I do not think UDA could agree with that, especially in a region like Western Kenya. This problem was actually, this concern was raised by an MP from Kilifi. Because she said that in the recent past, she has already seen that UDA is already propping up about 3 or 4 new people to run for MP seats. Meanwhile, ODM is a current party in that region. So
it's like ODM going to do, these things in Rift Valley.
In Rift Valley.
Doesn't make sense.
Well, I don't know. Will they agree?
Wait, it's a matter of wait and see.
Kuna ile ajali ya ndege, makachero wakusanya ushahidi, wapelelezi wamaliza kukusanya ushahidi muhimu eneo la ajali ya helikopta Nandi. Ni ile ajali ambayo iliua watu 6 akiwemo mbunge wa Emurwa Dikir, Yohana Ngeno. Habari hiyo inaendelea. Kidokezo cha pili, Ngeno alivyokosa ushindi mwaka 2007. Masuala ya nje ya nchi, Irani hapa kuvamia meli Hormuz, that Strait of Hormuz. Bei ya mafuta yatarajiwa kupanda maeneo tofauti duniani kwa kiwango kubwa. I think the biggest concern about what's happening in the Middle East, especially for African countries, is what happens to our fuel prices. And you'll see that when we come to discussing the regional dailies. Everyone is just concerned about the fuel. Not even bothering about probably Kenyans who are in the Middle East and who could be having serious problems.
Safe. The Ministry of Energy and Petroleum released a statement yesterday saying we are safe, we have enough up to April.
And up to April. That is only 1 month away. We do not know how long this war will take. Remember, Russia and Ukraine are still at war more than a year later. Imagine if this war could take a year. What happens to the fuel prices in Africa?
And Iran is not backing down.
Well, wamesema mbaya. Pale juu pigo kwa PAA ama PA, katibu akiingia UDA. Unaona sasa hii? PA ni chama ambacho kule Pwani. Ndio chama kubwa pale. Sasa unasikia UDA wameingia huko. Katibu mkuu Kenneth Kazungu ahamia chama tawala cha UDA. Na masuala ya spoti, Arsenal ni mguni ponye EPL. Gunners walio kileleni wahitaji ushindi ili Man City isiwakaribia. Remember, there are English Premier League games this week. Today, I think Arsenal will be facing Brighton. They'll be away to Brighton, so a good result would actually be possible for Arsenal. They're on a good run. That's Taifa Leo.
Daily Nation, still ODM given prominence here. Storm over Linda Mwananchi Party. It's a twist, they call it. A plot to transform Linda Mwananchi, a campaign slogan coined by perceived ODM rebels, into a party has sparked a bitter row between rival orange factions on the real sponsors of the initiative. Is it the rebels' fallback plan, a hostile takeover by rivals, or a business venture for political brokers?
Kuna jamaa amekimbia pale kwa registrar of political parties na akaregister Linda Mwananchi kama chama. But the problem is, Sifuna says, it's not us.
You remember that story you were telling me some time back, what happened with ODM?
Yes.
That somebody went and registered ODM before Raila Odinga could register ODM.
And you see, they've not committed any crime.
Yes.
So for you who really owned the name, it's either you buy it from them, or you get into that party which no longer belongs to you.
Kenya, if you're poor, ni kama ni kwa kupenda. The Register of Political Parties is reviewing an application to reserve the name.
Yes.
Oh, wow. There's one side, Linda ground, and they say they should declare the intention since their rallies have abandoned ODM colors. They should come out clear on their real intentions in light of this application to form a new political party. Linda Mwananchi, on the other hand, says this movement is bigger than a name. They've taken the letter of the law, but the spirit of the law is still with the people. The movement is not in the name. So I'm assuming maybe Sifuna now, they might change the name from Linda Mwananchi to something else. If at all they won't want to buy whatever is already with their
If at all the intention was to actually form a party from that.
Yeah.
But they could form any other party. You don't have to call it Linda Mwananchi.
Yeah.
Linda Mwananchi is simply probably a movement now that could actually run its course within a few months and move on to something else.
Or maybe there's not any intention to form a party. They're like just hunting from different sides and then they come together and form something.
Interesting.
This is a story on page 4 and 5, quite interesting. Other quick headlines here on the front page. 8 learners have died in schools this term, according to lobby groups. And this is the Elimu Bora Working Group has raised the alarm over safety of students in schools, noting that at least 8 learners have died since the institutions reopened in January. That's a story on page 10.
This is very worrying for parents, especially. That call from school and then unaambiwa kuja kuna shida hapa shule. Then you get to school and you're told your son or daughter is no more. That has happened a lot this year. 8 in 2 months. That's too much. It's like every week a learner dies.
It's only been 8 weeks since.
Yes, it's 2 months, January and February. So we are actually on the 9th week of this year.
All right. NSSF sold fake land to teachers. SACCO, why workers will lose trust. This is a story on page 8. oil and gas prices rise as Iran war disrupts shipping. This is a story on page 8 and 20. It says smoke billers from an oil tanker under U.S. sanctions after it was hit off Oman's Musandam Peninsula in the screen grab taken from a video obtained by Reuters on March 1st, 2026. This is a special feature.
So that's the biggest concern for us as Kenyans and for the region. We'll see that it's on the front page, oil and gas prices. So Kenya, we're very confident we have stocks up until April. It's only 30 days. It's only 30 days from now. Okay, fine, end of April, 60 days from now. Then we're assuming the war will have ended and everyone will have been back on the high seas exporting oil to Africa and other parts of the world. That won't happen, I can tell you for sure. This war will take probably 2, 3, 4 months. Then what happens?
You know the type of oil we have? The one that keeps us safe? The quality type. The good quality type. That's the oil.
The good quality type.
The good quality type. On the inside pages of the Daily Nation, how Johanna Ngeno's denied election victory birthed a Rigathi-Sifuna. That's a story on page 2. He's the first MP for Rigathi-Sifuna, right?
Yes.
That's why they are so...
He's the only MP of that area so far.
So far. Oh, wow. All right, on the back page, Matter Sports, football players banned by ADAC but still playing. FKF say they are not aware of any player sanctioned by the Kenyan Anti-Doping Agency. ADAC says affected players risk lengthier bans if they violate sentence. Each to their own, says Guardiola, as set-piece debate deepens in EPL. And that's the Daily Nation.
All right, let's move on to the Standard. It has a very interesting headline. Wanasema Mbadi, yes, I lied. Alinanganyana. So mistruths exposed by this paper. Okay, fine. I need to read this so that you can understand the context. Treasury CS swore before the National Assembly that the National Infrastructure Fund, which is about 5 trillion shillings, existed. He told Parliament it was registered. He now admits in an affidavit to court that the fund was never incorporated, not even its name was secured. This has been a controversy that has gone on for a while. The fact that this infrastructure fund that the president announced, and we said this is what it will take us to Singapore. And then the CS Treasury said they were going to form a limited liability company to run that fund. Notwithstanding the fact that the Constitution provides for such funds, consolidated funds, other funds. So if at all there's a infrastructure fund, it should be provided for in the Constitution. So if everyone was asking, okay, so hii pesa mutaenda ikuwe a company, a private company, ndo wana run 5 trillion shillings of Kenyan money. So people went to court now saying hapana, ayo ache hiyo maneno. Hata tu kusema hivyo, hata hatujaanzisha hiyo kitu. Yes, I lied. That's a CS, and that's a big story there on the front page of the Standard. It's the only story given prominence. Tuangalie huko ndani. Just one story that I'd seen that is quite interesting, and that is on Kofi Olomide. It's on page 2. Kofi Olomide is 69 years old. He's finally wedded his longtime partner, Cindy Loko. They've been together for over 20 years.
After 20 years.
After 20 years. But even during that 20 years, Kofi was married to someone else.
Oh, wow.
After divorcing someone else, so this is like his third marriage. At 69. So hata wale wako scared of settling down hapa Kenya, usijali, bado kuna muda.
Take your time.
Haraka. Moms usijali. 60 bado utakuwa tu hapa.
Moms is our camera person. You know, people are thinking that actually that's his first marriage, because when news went round that he married the lady after 20 years, then people are asking, 20 years of dating?
No, this lady has been there. While Kofi has been married twice.
Wow.
Ako tu hapo tu.
So replacement anakuanga tu hapo tu kwa ampanga line.
Lakini even her, she has been really patient. 20 years?
Oh, wow. I mean, it's Kofi. Anyway.
Right. Congratulations to them. The Standard back page, battle for EPA title continues as Arsenal and Man City are in action today, and the matches to look forward to: Aston Villa versus Chelsea. Itakuwa kichapo chingine. Unajua Chelsea have just come out from a beating. Now they're going to be beaten again today at 10:30. Hey, kutakuwa na kilio hapa. Arsenal will be at Brighton. Fulham facing West Ham, Man City, Nottingham Forest, and Newcastle against Man United, which is the latter game at 11 p.m. All the other games will be on at 10:30, and that's the Standard.
All right, let's take a look at the Star this morning. 10,000 jobs created as Rironi upgrade drives businesses. This is a highway to Singapore, as the Star calls it. Traffic snarl-up on the Naivasha-Nakuru highway near Delamere on Sunday. This is a photo here on the front page. A foundation stone for the construction of the Rironi-Naivasha-Gilgil-Mau Summit Road set up along the Nairobi-Nakuru Road near Limuru. And we see construction workers and machines on the highway. 10,000 jobs created.
From that road.
Yes, that's a good thing.
It better happen. It better happen.
Yeah.
I remember the president, when he was driving on that road immediately after launching the construction, he said, and he made a promise, that such traffic jams on that highway, by December of this year, will be a thing of the past. This is February.
Yes.
We're still seeing the traffic jams. So he has exactly now 10 months.
10 months.
10 months to actually ensure the jams.
The project's scheduled for completion by April 2027. So by December
so what happened to that promise?
Well,
that by December, that jam will not be there.
Bado iko hadi aseme abolish it.
All right.
Letu jicho.
Jicho.
Mentally ill offenders to be moved from cells to hospital in a proposed law. That's another story on page 8. Weatherman says expect short dry spell, but El Nino is also on the way. That's another story on page 3. It's raining in some parts of the country, rain likely to be enhanced over much of the country during first half of March. On the top strip, US, Israel and Iran war strikes and counter strikes. Kenyans left in turmoil as Middle East war hits home. New Senate bill seeks to clear path for referendum is another story on page 6, and that's the Star, fresh, independent and different. Grab a copy today at Kenya shilling 60 bob.
All right, from the Star, we take a look at the People Daily. It has a very interesting story on the front page. And this one throws a span in the works. So far, questions are who's running for president, who's not. But now they're asking this question, is Orengo plotting another stab at the presidency? Many may not know. I'm sure even...
Yes.
Anno, did you know that Orengo had run for president once?
I'm a student of history.
Yeah, okay. So James Orengo ran for president in 2002. Actually ran against Mwai Kibaki with SDP. Years later, people forgot about him then. He joined ODM. Now he joined the Raila Odinga movement. Now with Raila gone, and this Sifuna Babu Owino Sotsi movement, always carrying Orengo around, people asking, oh, could he be trying to run for president again? After all, he has done it before. He could do it again. Yeah. So emerging from Raila's shadow, that's a story there.
Do you think he might?
I think if he does, probably he's among the few Kenyan politicians who has that stature. He's a senior counsel. He's been a member of cabinet in the Grand Coalition. He's served as a member of both the National Assembly and the Senate for a very long time. He's served as governor now. In terms of experience, well, he was in the movement, multi-party democracy. He was among the young Turks back then. He was among the bearded sisters in parliament back in the day. This is a kind of guy who would run for president.
You know, there's an argument that he's been, ameshindwa kuran Siaya. So will he be able to run the country? Well, that's another conversation online. Right. So we leave it to you to answer that one.
IBC cash crisis as another story there, and Kwale's trillions shilling hangover after the mining boom. Those are the stories on the People Daily today.
All right. Finally, Business Daily. Nedbank increases NCBA cash buyout to 31.6 billion Kenyan shillings. They say that Nedbank will spend a maximum of that amount in the cash component of its buyout of a 66% stake in NCBA Group, creating more room to pay investors who will not take up shares in the South African firm. Now, the cash offers has grown by 9.7 billion shillings from 21.9 billion shillings initially indicated, giving Nedbank more flexibility in receiving acceptances from small investors and major institutions constrained from investing in Johannesburg Stock Exchange listed companies. That's the story on page 2 of the Business Daily.
All right.
Unilever Liz's toothpaste advertising war with Colgate, and on the ticker, Kenya's Eurobond debt rises to 1.4 trillion shillings after new issuance. BAT replaces CEO, finance chief in executive changes, and Circulon's default rate falls to 5.9% on improved repayment. That's the Business Daily. All
right, before we take a look at the cartoons, let's take a look at the regional papers, see what people in Uganda and Tanzania are focusing on this morning. And I'm looking at the front page of the Daily Monitor. It still talks about Iran. It's a big concern. A lone frightened on bus from Iran. That's the main headline on the front page page of the Daily Monitor. 43 Ugandan students share their experience on that 950-kilometer escape journey from Tehran to Bazargan on the border with Turkey on a government-provided bus as the US-Israel war raged on. Setting off at 5 a.m., the 15-hour trip was fraught with fear. Now, this is an angle that many people are not looking at. The plight of Kenyans and other Africans who are in the Middle East, now that this fight is affecting even places like Dubai, that we've never seen, never imagined that they could be at war. Saudi Arabia, areas like Doha, Qatar, where many Kenyans are. I'm told about 500,000 Kenyans are in Saudi Arabia. You can imagine. This is a small group of Ugandans in Iran who are now trying to escape to Turkey. I think we focus too much on the oil issue and the fuel prices, not focusing on the plight of our people who are there. And that is what the Daily Monitor in Uganda has focused on. Yes, that's the Daily Monitor.
All right, the New Vision talks about a total of 40 states allow Ugandans to travel without a visa. So the government has listed visa-free countries for Ugandans, Kenya included. And that's the main story on the front page of the New Vision this morning. Other quick headlines: Museveni offers Muslim women 20 billion shillings. Muslim women. That's Ugandan money, but it's still something, anyway, if you look at it. A woman who made Ugandans eat soil to cure AIDS. So this is also a problem in Uganda.
Is that Alice Lakwena? Alice Lakwena was a very mystical woman, especially in the 80s and 90s. And she had the kind of effect that probably could only, in Kenyan sense, probably Shakahola, that Mackenzie kind of effect. It wasn't as tragic. To cure AIDS, we have a war as well. The story we did last month. In Tanzania, there's also someone else. There's also Loliondo. Yes. Daktari Kule. So it's a East Africa problem. Yes. All right, that's the New Vision. All right, talking of Tanzania, I'm looking at the front page of the Citizen now, and yes, the focus is on what's happening in the Middle East, but now they focus on the fuel prices. Government to boost fuel reserves amid Middle East conflict. This is the biggest concern in East Africa and most of Africa and other countries, that fuel prices will rise because the Strait of Hormuz will be blocked. Iran is not exporting oil. I don't know, a lot will change. But I like the fact that Uganda has gone with the plight of Kenya, of Ugandans in that region. So they say that the president in Tanzania has directed the Energy Ministry and other relevant authorities to beef up Tanzania's strategic fuel reserves. Just like Kenya is saying, tusijali, tuko na mafuta hadi mwisho wa April. Muta, April ni next month. Wewe usitutishie wewe. Haya, that's a Citizen. Gazeti la Mwananchi: makali bei ya mafuta, mzozo Mashariki ya Kati. Hiyo ndio habari kuu katika ukurasa wa mbele wa gazeti hili. Rais Samia agiza kuahirisha akiba ya kimkakati ya mafuta kulinda Tanzania na janga la bei, upungufu, ujenzi wa matanki kuongeza ufanisi wa mapato. TPA yapewa majukumu mapya. Hiyo ndio habari kuu katika ukurasa wa mbele wa gazeti hili. That's as far as the regional dailies. Yes, let's come back and take a look at the local cartoons to see the focus, and you'll see that generally it's all about what's happening in the Middle East. And I start off with a cartoon on the Star. So we have barrels of oil there with a caricature of the Foreign Affairs Minister, the CS and the Energy CS, with the president just looking at a red board up in thousands of Kenyans caught in between the Middle East war. But they're not focusing on that. They're focusing on what? Oil. Is saying, oil is well. Oil is well because we have reserves till the end of April. Forget about the Kenyans who could be in that region. Yeah, that's a Star. All right. I'm just saying what the cartoonist has said. That's the interpretation by the cartoonist. People Daily Star, no stake, still the same given prominence there. What's happened with the wars currently being seen in the world. It talks about Palestine versus Israel. It's burning. Ukraine versus Russia. DR Congo, US versus Iran and Israel as well. And of course Sudan. But the UN is watching hapo, wanashindwa wa. Yeah. Tutazima gani? Remember, we've even forgotten about the Ukraine war altogether. Anyway, the cartoon on the Standard, still talking about the Middle East. Two frames here. On one hand, a caricature of US President Donald Trump saying, "My good people of Iran, help is coming." And this was his promise to the people of Iran when they were protesting on the streets. He said, "Don't worry, continue protesting, help is coming." The kind of help is bringing missiles. Na Iran pia wamesema, when you go low, We go lower.
We are going lower with you. Finally, let's take a look. The last
Daily
one
Nation.
is, all right, Daily Nation talks about what's happening in ODM. The 10-point agenda. Chungwa walibeba na wheelbarrow wakienda pale kuangalia 10-point agenda. Lakini on the other side, hiyo chungwa imekunywa kama juice.
My interpretation of this one is that they've thrown away the 10-point agenda. Now they're going for the juice in ODM.
In ODM.
Yeah. So, remember, on 7th of this month, which is in 3 days' time, a special report will be presented on the progress of implementation of the 10-point agenda. 1 year later. Has anything happened? So we wait for the report. Someone is going for the juice in ODM. Forget the 10-point agenda.
So the 10-point agenda, nothing has been addressed in that document.
There are those who claim that a lot has been addressed. I don't know.
Well, you'll be having some members.
We're having some members of ODM party on the panel. Esther Passaris is one of them. She'll be here with us. Taskia kama 10-point agenda bado. In maana. Yesterday they had a parliamentary group meeting. Very big discussion. Yes.
All right. These are the stories making headlines locally and of course regionally as well. And once again, our question of the day, which we want to stress on it so that you can send us your feedback. Tupatie swali.
Hiyo swali, ngoja ni... Are men scared? Are men scared of...
modern men. There we have it.
Or to say, not just any man, the modern man.
Yes.
Is a modern man scared of settling down? Or has commitment simply lost its value? Maybe ukiniuliza hiyo swali, whoever framed it, answered it. He or she asked the question and answered it.
Commitment, how is commitment losing its value in this day? You know, I don't understand.
So are you scared as a modern man of settling down? Yeah?
Use the hashtag Morning Cafe TV47. Talk to us on our socials, TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube. On X at TV47 Digital. But before we tell them what our WhatsApp number is, our guests are already in studio, Fred.
All right. Yes, we do have a guest in studio. They'll be joining us in a few moments. We will be having guests this morning. Senator Dr. Danson Mongatana will be in studio alongside Esther Passaris, who is a woman representative Nairobi, and Joe Nyoto, Senator Muranga, alongside David Kiplagat, MP Soy. Do stand by for that conversation. All
right. Let's just invite them in on set, even as we wrap up our conversation this morning. Right. What's your handle, Fred?
My handle is at Fred Indimuli. Please tag me on all these conversations. Karibu sana.
Nice to
You're welcome. Yes.
All right,
welcome.
My handle is at Ann_Odida. WhatsApp number, karibu sana, 0793 267 279. Talk to us. We'll see you after the break.
All right, good morning once again and welcome back. This is a Morning Cafe on TV47 with me, Fred Indimuli. Time for us to take a look at the headlines. This morning, a look at the 4 cartoons that we've sampled, from the one from the Star, the Standard, the Daily Nation, and the People Daily. 3 out of 4 are talking about what's happening in the Middle East with Iran, with the US-Israel attacks on Iran, and that has now turned into a proper melee, with Iran retaliating by attacking several US military bases across the region in areas like Saudi Arabia, which were not part of the war. Dubai, the US embassy in Dubai has already been hit in one of those attacks, and definitely a number of Kenyans are currently in that area, about 500,000 of them in Saudi Arabia, others about 70,000 in Doha, Qatar, and other areas, including Iran itself. It's only one paper in this region that is talking about the plight of such people, and that's Daily Monitor in Uganda, talking about how Ugandans in Iran are going through a harrowing experience trying to get their way out of that country, which is now at war. All other papers, both the Citizen and the Mwananchi in Tanzania, are focusing on the impending increase in fuel prices that will obviously happen. Even Kenya here, the main focus is on what kind of fuel stocks we have, how long can they take us. That is a conversation we'll be starting with this morning. We're privileged to have 2 of the 4 panelists. These are members of the National Assembly. It's good that you've kept time. I think the National Assembly behaves differently. Members of the Senate will be with us later on. That's Senators Danson Mungatana and Joe Nyoto of Tana River and Muranga, respectively. Karibu sana, Madam Esther Passaris, Woman Representative, Nairobi County.
Thank you.
And David Kiplagat, MP Soi.
Thank you.
Now, so far we've heard the response by the head of state in Kenya, and what he had to say about the war in that region. But he's also been criticized about the necessity of the statement he put out, the issues around neutrality in a situation where we are not directly involved, and why would we be so quick to comment and criticize any side of the fighting of the protagonists there, whether Iran or Israel or the US for that matter. Do you get where Kenyans are coming from when they say probably the president should not be wading into that, Madam Passaris?
You know, the way I look at the office of the presidency, I believe that it has a good support structure and teams that advise the president when it comes to matters international. We are not living in isolation. We are part of the world order. We have missions in our country, and in those countries we also have missions. So when something that is happening on a global space happens, it's not like it doesn't affect us, and it's not like we don't have an opinion. When somebody dies in a foreign country, we send condolences. When there's something that when they have an election, we send congratulations, or we accept whoever's the winner. At the end of the day, I would like to believe that when the president made his statement, right? And remember, when the president makes a statement, he speaks for Kenya. And when he speaks for Kenya, he speaks for the Kenyan people. Mm-hmm. So because he's the president, I give him the respect of knowing what he's saying. Yeah. And sometimes, you know, we're all human. Maybe sometimes you can err. But at the end of the day, you know, he is our president, and whatever he's put out there, I'm sure is well advised.
Yes, yet the president, even from day one, the same day he took oath of office, he tweeted about Western Sahara, and he had to take that tweet down. There has been a series of diplomatic gaffes linked to this administration. Don't you agree that, yes, probably they should temper some of the pronouncements made in situations that could possibly escalate in directions that we do not know?
Thank you, and good morning to our viewers. I think just picking up from where Honorable Passaris has left, it's important that we have a foreign policy and our foreign strategic plans in terms of the relationship we have with the world. So by the time you get the president coming up with that statement, which actually was not on either sides, it was actually telling the protagonist to de-escalate and not escalate things up, because what's happening is that Iran is starting to eat everyone who is not even involved in their business, and for far too long, you know, you have been living in this. You have been living in this planet for quite some time, and you know the geopolitical discussions that have been going on, the development of the nuclear weapons, the deterrence of Iran from developing using the nuclear reactors to develop capable atomic bombs, and that has been concerned not only the current administration in the US or the current administration in Israel. There was even a time whereby when Obama was, I think Obama was the president, that they had to put an agreement on how much can they go in terms of developing nuclear for the benefit of generation of energy, and that has been that has been the concern of the entire world. You know what?
Is it?
May I finish?
No, you know the line you've taken, Bwana Kiplagat, and that's what I'm challenging.
Yes.
You sound like you're already supporting one side, and that's where the president is being faulted.
You know,
that he was quick to criticize Iran's actions in defending itself and justifying the actions of the U.S.-Israel partnership. Why would you say that it's the feeling of the entire world?
You know, Indimuli, you might have your feelings, but I've said in terms of the foreign policy, our foreign policy as a country, we have our foreign policy, we have our relationship with the countries that forms the world. So in terms of execution of that foreign policy, you don't live in a utopian society. We have relations to keep. So when you see a statement from the president which is actually calling on de-escalation, you can even go to, for example, let's leave even Kenya alone. You can go to Britain, for example. You have the Prime Minister Starmer. When he speaks based on the foreign policy of the country as a Britain, and you will see what he's going to say. What he's going to say will be aligned with the foreign policy objective of Britain. So when the president also talks on behalf of Kenya, he is talking aligning our foreign policy to our status in the world. So we are not living in a utopian society, and that is it. But at the end of the day, it is incumbent upon the leaders currently to stop any development of nuclear weapons that might destroy the whole world. So we cannot just leave a country just.
The argument is that Kenya is a neutral player in this. We also have relations with Iran. The president hosted the Iranian president at State House, I think, last year or the year before. We also do have the Iranian embassy here in Nairobi. So we do have relations across board with all the protagonists here. Yes. But it would appear, listening to Bwana Kiplagat, we've already taken sides here.
No, I think that's a wrong statement. We cannot take sides. What the president asked for was de-escalation. That's become the buzzword. And de-escalation, the talks on de-escalation started way before America hit. Okay, and I think there has been, and for me, you know, nuclear power needs to be controlled. All right, because you saw what happened in Hiroshima. All right, you've never been able to inhabit that area. You've never been able to deal with the cancers and the deformities that have come out of that area. So one thing we all agree, we all agree as people of the world at one piece, we need to curtail nuclear power. I think there's been talk on that issue and fear on that issue as well. For me, de-escalation meant let's get to the table, let's talk. And you know, I think it's, for me, I'm very proud that the president came out and made a statement, because we are not, you know, just because we are in the continent of Africa, we're not insignificant in the world order. We are significant, and I'm proud that he boldly did that. And I believe that African Union should have probably also issued a statement for the entire continent, because at the end of the day, we do not want a world war. If we have a world war, right? And even what has happened right now, remember, the president is not just the president of Kenyans that are in Kenya. He's the president of Kenyans that are out there. You started off by saying how many Kenyans are out there. Over 100,000 Kenyans might be out there in those countries that are affected. You know, I mean, when I sit down and think about this, you know, there's this expression, your enemy is not my enemy. But now it seems like your friend is my enemy. So that's what we're seeing. And for us, we're friends of the US, we're friends of Iran. We do not want to have a situation where we are going to suffer as a continent, any country in the continent. And I feel for the people that are in Iran. I feel for the people that are in Israel. I feel for the people that are in the Middle East. I mean, who would have ever thought that the Middle East would be a target, you know? And for me, I've got a friend whose son is studying there in Dubai. And I mean, he sent us a video. He was on the streets and something had hit one of the buildings. And he was like, Mom, it's over. Your life is ending.
Do you feel like we're paying attention to that part of this crisis, that there's definitely a plight of Kenyans who are there? But we look at our dailies and we're focusing on probably the economic part, that the fact that oil prices will go up in a few months' time. Don't you think?
See, everything has an effect on human life, whether it's the cost of fuel, whether it's lives that are being lost. I mean, I saw in Israel a hospital was hit, all right? And I saw in Iran a school was hit and 80 children feared dead. So for me, it's life. As a mother, as a woman, as a citizen of the world, war is not good, all right? And seeing the people caught in between, the children, I saw children, I mean, those students were children. So I feel that they need to get back to the drawing table and have a discussion. I can't understand. It's like having big boys with nasty toys and they think it's okay. You're seeing them flying all over the place. But look at the damage they're causing to lives. These are lives. Can you imagine if we were hit here right now in the studio? What would happen to you, to me, to him? I mean, just think.
And definitely,
it's devastating.
Everything changes. And definitely will be affected in one way or another. Kenyans living in Saudi Arabia or in Iran itself, or even in Qatar, the fact that the diaspora remittances from that direction will be hampered. Economically, the oil issues, plus the plight, the real life issues that those people, Kenyans, are facing there. Do you think that this crisis, as a member of the National Assembly, has gotten to a level where we should probably discuss it in the National Assembly to provide probably direction on how these things should be handled from a diplomatic perspective as well?
Yeah, I think for now, let's leave it at the executive level.
Yes.
Let's leave it at the foreign affairs ministry. Let us observe things up, and let us also look at what is happening in the entire world, how things are spiraling. I don't think, looking at the statements that are coming up, chances are it might not last long, it might not last a week.
We pray.
Or
the
so.
Russian-Ukraine war has lasted a while.
No, for this one, was a bit different because
it could go either way.
Looking at the statement from the foreign, I think the foreign minister for Iran is ready for negotiations, and I think even Trump from the World Co has been ready for negotiations. So between 1 or 2 weeks, something will de-escalate.
Sound very optimistic. I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see.
Of course, there will be a big effect in terms of the economy. You know what will happen with the oil prices now that one of the biggest refinery in Saudi Arabia was hit. The effects of the closure of the strait along the Oman, that is the almost Strait. So, and where most of the Gulf, where most of the ships are passing. So in terms of the delivery of the oil, it will be hampered. In terms of the price within the OPEC, it will be hampered. So there will be a lot of pain, but it won't last long. It's something that won't last long.
Sounding very optimistic. I don't know.
Will be something. You talked about Parliament. You talked about Parliament and what can we do. I think as parliamentarians and representatives of the people, what we want to see is that our missions, where we have missions, are in touch with the Kenyan people. They have, one thing about Kenyans, when you're out in a foreign country, the first thing you need to do is let your embassy know that you're there. All right? Even if it's a short stay, it's always good that, I'm here. And I think we need to put up a system where you can easily tell a foreign mission, the nearest foreign mission, that I am in this country for 3 weeks. Because you never know. Look at the way things just happen. And I think for me, it's once the flights are open, there might be Kenyans who would want to come back home. That's when I have seen our government being very responsive. And I know our peers and Ministry of Foreign Affairs will be on top of that. So for us, we will only come into discussions about it when it requires some form of legislation, some form of budgetary allocation. And I think right now when we're looking at the budget, we should be thinking of budgeting for bringing Kenyans back home from that situation.
Oversight role is concerned, you're happy with how the government has handled it so far?
Look, I mean, the thing is, the president's issued a statement. At the moment, there are no flights coming out of the Middle East. Our Kenyans cannot come back home at this stage. But when it opens out, I would like to think that, there has to be some form of budget for repatriation of citizens, but it might not be enough given the numbers. So I believe that there will be a discussion. So the three arms of government at any point will make decisions that are for the interest of the Kenyan people.
Okay. I'm talking about the Kenyan people. There are those watching us live, and they have some feedback on what we're discussing. And what are they saying?
All right, even as we talk about the US-Iran conflict, Fred, let's wait and see, but let's hold on to that point a little bit. We'll be back to take a look at that, but let's see what the Kenyans are saying online. Peter from Mombasa says, when giants fight, small nations get crushed. Kenya must stay neutral. Faith from Nairobi says, neutrality sounds safe, but fuel prices are already hurting us. Government must protect our economy interest first. Hassan from Garissa says, our diaspora in the Middle East should be the priority. Any decision must consider their safety. Let's cross over to X now. Geo Watch 254 says, neutrality is strength. Kenya should not become collateral damage. Finally, still on X, police hit KE says strategic partnership protect trade. Fence sitting can cost us. All right, we have one more. Diaspora Voice KE says government must reassure Kenyans abroad, and that's the real test. So perhaps MP Soy, do you think what we're doing is just fence sitting? What do you think about that, Skip Leggett? Mahesh,
yes,
what do you think?
That's a question to you. A lot of concerns are around neutrality.
Neutrality.
Position in this.
What I'm saying, so long as you are part of the world, and part of the world has so many dynamics in alignment, you cannot be, you can try to be as neutral as possible, but it's not possible in the world of politics. Yes.
So you agree we are not as neutral as probably many may expect?
What I'm saying is...
But it is intentional that we are not neutral.
You will try as much as possible to be neutral, but it is not possible.
It's not possible.
It's not possible, yeah.
You agree also, Madam Pasaris?
I mean, you can't be a fence sitter when you are a head of state. You can't be a fence sitter. And when you are a global partner, we have to stop looking at ourselves as small and insignificant. We are a country that trades with both countries and the Middle East. It's going to have a huge impact on us. Can you imagine all the exports that we send to the Middle East? What's going to happen? So of course we want de-escalation. Of course we want peace. So if we just sit on the fence and say nothing, that means we don't care about driving our economy and our people. So I think it's important for us to respect the presidency and the office of the presidency and whatever statement the president issued.
Yes, Bwana Kiplagat.
By the way, do you know we have an agreement that we are called what in NATO?
Major U.S. non-NATO ally.
Yes.
Non-NATO ally. So,
do you think that is affecting our stance in this? That being a non-NATO ally to the U.S. means that whatever decisions they make, including what they do in Venezuela, we have to support them?
No, not really. You know what is happening? If you look at the arms race in terms of developing capable weapons to be able to defend our country, the old technology that we have can no longer defend our country. So it's good we make alignments that will bring our defense to the path that is required. You can imagine now we are in the world of drones, we are in the world of developing hypersonic missiles after them. The speed is matching, might be matching the speed of light. So the things that are going on in this world, unless now you also align to these countries that are racing towards either, you know, they are always just the same way the Cold War. You cannot be in the middle. There are always two fronts. So you'll have to choose which front do you belong to.
Madam Pasaris, this is an interesting question because many may say that the level of understanding of normal Kenyans, especially on issues in our relationship with Israel, forget about the US, that it is largely misinformed due to religion. That many people believe, they have this belief about Israel and what it means to the Christians. And so if I'm a Christian, then I support everything Israel does, and the other religion supports everything the other people do. Do you agree that that largely has misinformed many people about such issues right now?
You know, after the October 7th attack, I mean, of course, we all saw it, and it was horrible. And then after Israel retaliated and went into Gaza in a, you know, two wrongs never make a right, in my opinion. You know, that's me, you know, two wrongs never make a right. What happened on October 7th was bad. But going into Gaza to the extent that they did and the deaths that they caused. But then, you know what, the church that I worship, the Israeli ambassador was one of our guests. You know, we were praying for Israel. For me, I take the position that we need to pray for everybody. You know, that's God, and that's God is love. And I cannot understand the differences in religion. You know, for me, I believe in heightened spirituality, where you know who you are as a soul rather than a religion, you know, because I look at religion as a buffet table. You go and pick what you want, and what works and makes you a better human being and makes you Christ-like. So for me, I know that when you look at the historical biblical teachings, Israel has always been favored by God. And I feel that
Don't you feel
it's
that
always
part
being
of the misinformation right now?
Look, you know, for me, this is my feeling, and my spiritual mom might give me a bollocking for it, but I think she will respect what I feel, because we all grow in spirituality in different stages. My take is that when Jesus came and he died, he left us the Holy Spirit. And for me, the Holy Spirit is your inner feeling. It's your feeling of what is right and wrong. You as a human being know it. And when you tap into the Holy Spirit, you get aligned. I look at the Bible, and it's a beautiful book, a beautiful scripture. It's the holy book, the Quran, the Gita Bhagwan, the Torah. These are all books that have come through history. And I love everyone. I don't care what your religion is. I love you as a human being. I'm a humanist, so I don't see a religion. Religion will not make me hate you. You know, your color, your country of origin, your gender. So I'm a humanist. I just love everyone. But not everybody is at that space. I just feel it's so insane that people of this generation are destroying the world, right, because of geography. It's about assets, it's about wealth, it's about resources. The fight is about economics. It's not about the human being.
Right.
And that for me is a sad place. So as a Christian, or, you know, I probably don't take the line of most Christian teachings that the Jews, you know, and Israel needs to be protected at all costs. I think, you know, sometimes we pretend to be God and we play God-like, and it's wrong.
Right. Very interesting headlines there. With regard to the discussions we're having on the conflict in the Middle East, you want to add something on that issue of religion and the misinformation?
Not even the, just to correct some anomalies.
Yes.
You see, what is happening actually in Israel is actually the extension of Iran's misbehavior of trying to destabilize countries, because through Hezbollah and also through Hamas, they have made sure that they always attack Israel. because if you look at look at the proposal that we have all agreed, we have given, there is the importance of establishing a two-state solution, the state of Palestine and the state of Israel. But the complexity that has always happened is between these groups, the Hamas and the Hezbollah, who are actually the extension of Iran, who always wants to mess things up. So when Israel goes to a corner and try to establish and try to even think of the two-state solution, then what do you do with the extension of Iran, who are in Lebanon and who are actually in Gaza? That is the Hamas, and their script is actually the elimination of the entire Israel. So what is happening currently is that Iran needs to be brought first to order, and when Iran has been brought to order, the other groups of Hezbollah and also the Hamas, they will dissipate, and once they dissipate, then at least now we can come to the table and be able to establish the two-state solution.
All right, and the question now is about the neutrality of Kenya in this, because many people have taken sides already, and some are criticizing President William Ruto for appearing to take sides in the statement he released with regard to the conflict in the Middle East. Two issues here: the plight of Kenyans living in the Middle East who now have to face life under bombardment, and the economic repercussions of any such crisis, especially when it comes to fuel prices. Let's take a break. After the break, we'll come back home and talk about Kenyan politics. Yesterday, ODM held a parliamentary group meeting. What did they talk about? You're watching Morning Cafe.
They have endorsed the decision of the National Executive Committee of the party and the Central Committee on the decisions that they have taken in their last 3 sittings. Now, let me ask you something. Are you not seeing in these PG members you are claiming to be Linda something? All of them are here. Yeah. Aren't you seeing here? Look at the faces. Unless you are, you know, I can see you have spectacles, unless you're not seeing properly. All the Lindas are here. All the Lindas. All the Lindas are here. We want to increase our numbers in the next general election from what we have today. And we are telling any party that we are associating with, any party in this country that wants to associate with us, our parliamentary numbers are not negotiable. We can negotiate on anything, but not on our parliamentary strength.
All right. Yesterday, the ODM party held its parliamentary group meeting, where, as claimed by the leader of minority in the National Assembly, the Honorable Junet, he says all the sides of the party, they're talking about the supposed cracks, that everyone was represented in that meeting. But from that meeting, we got this headline on the front page of Taifa Leo: ODM yatishia UDA. That's where we're heading now. Wasema chama cha ODM kimeonya UDA kwamba hakitakubali mwafaka wowote ambao utaruhusu chama hicho tawala kuwasimamisha wagombeaji katika ngome zake kwenye uchaguzi mkuu wa mwaka ujao. Jana viongozi wa ODM waliibua wasiwasi kutokana na kile wanachosema ni mwenendo wa UDA kutaja wagombeaji wa nyadhifa mbalimbali katika ngome zake. And just as we were having that break, members of the upper house joined us. Senators Joe Nyoto and Dr. Danson Mungatana, senators representing Muranga and Tana River counties respectively. Karibuni sana, gentlemen.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Let's start with you so that at least you get a chance to go on this fast. You missed out on a big discussion, but you'll get an opportunity probably later. So this issue, Dr. Mungatana, about what a coalition between UDA and ODM would mean. And we've discussed very many times on this panel about the concerns that you yourself raised.
Yeah.
One of them is this one, about zoning. And forget about regions like Nyanza or Rift Valley, but areas that are considered battlegrounds for now. The coastal region, for one. Western region, where ODM has predominantly been the biggest party, but now UDA is making inroads. In the coastal region, the same concern has been raised about UDA now making inroads in a predominantly ODM zone. Now, ODM says that is the one thing they will not back down from. Do you think that this will be a bone of contention?
Well, it's obviously going to be a bone of contention. I wanted to say that negotiations are difficult, especially political negotiations. But because we have the good intention of working together, I'm sure that solutions will be found. I'm not one of the negotiators, but if I was, I would take the position, which is, I've been very consistent on that we need to build our parties, you know, so that both sides, or any other political party that may want to work with us, should build and be strong. Mm-hmm. And then we come to the table and negotiate. And we should be negotiating about government. Political parties generally negotiate about power sharing, which means it is how should the government look like. And in Kenya, fortunately, the government is not divided along it's not how many members of parliament you have. Our government is consisted of people who are non-members of parliament, okay? So you can negotiate outside those considerations of zoning. I think the members of parliament, I think we should distinguish those two completely.
You do not support zoning at all?
I don't, because you can't support building of political parties and at the same time support zoning. What we are doing in UDA, which must not be construed as trying to fight against anyone, we are trying to be fit for the purpose that the general election is coming. We need to be fit. I mean, if I know that we are going to have the Nairobi Marathon in a few months, I'll get fit. Not so that I can defeat you. I'm getting fit because I want to get fit for purpose. So We are building our grassroots networks. In fact, UDA is really working. I've said that many times. In Tana River, for example, I know all my leaders at the polling center levels, all of them. And I'm preparing for the grassroots elections. They were supposed to be on the 28th, but we have shifted them to 7th of April because the first batch was supposed to be doing it on 7th of March, but that's when Johanna Ngeno is going to be buried. So we have adjusted our dates to accommodate our colleague, our departed colleague. But what are we doing? We are building the grassroots network, and we are not fighting anyone. So if I'm building my grassroots network, what you should be doing is also
doing the same in the same region. So ODM is welcome to do the same in Tana River?
Welcome to do everything and anything in Tana River. But I know that they sat in a boardroom and said, oh, you'll be chairman, you'll be what. And it is completely ineffective because nobody knows you at the grassroots. We are going the hard way. We are putting in a lot of money. We are doing civic education. I brought the party secretary general last week before I went to Joburg for a big sensitization meeting where we brought other leaders, so I'm putting in a lot of effort so that every ward can give me an MCA, every constituency can give me an MP. Don't
you think that weakens the coalition?
Me a woman rep and a governor and a senator.
Don't you think that weakens the strength of the proposed coalition,
yes,
as opposed probably to having joint candidates, that this UDA-ODM coalition, whatever name will be given, that should have joint candidates? There's some people who have proposed that, instead of both parties going in the same areas.
But Fred, even then, assuming we have a situation like Nairobi sometimes becomes very dicey. In Nairobi, sometimes you may find that if I raise a candidate and you raise a candidate and the opposition raises one candidate, then you're disadvantaged. In those kind of situations, partners should sit and discuss. But by and large, for the rest of the countries, it is how hard you have worked on the grassroots. And it's really unfair. Let me give an example. For example, maybe I'm in Migori. I'm giving an example, Migori. And I have worked very hard to build a grassroots network. I want to be a member of parliament for maybe one of the constituencies.
On a UDA ticket?
On a UDA ticket. I've built my network. I've participated in the grassroots elections. I've gotten my ward MCAs. I've done my work. I have, in fact, maybe we are two of us, and we went for nomination, and I won my ticket. And then the party secretary general tells me, no, you can't run, we are giving it to ODM. I think that is very undemocratic. It is wrong. And then you are also subjecting, the UDA can be sued because you are going against political rights within the constitution.
Right.
So I think what we should do is, we are not competing. Build your party, I build my party, and then let's see how the elections turn out. But then the issue of the government negotiations, I mean, ANC, the former ANC, they're holding prime cabinet secretary. Did they bring anything on the table? How many MPs are there? So you need to distinguish between what government is and what politics
Clearly,
is.
there's a lot of competition there. But Senator Nyoto, I've seen even this same challenge within the United Opposition, that there are attempts to try some zoning at some level, to leave some parties to some regions. How well is it working for you? And do you think that this will be a challenge on the other side, even as an outsider looking in?
Thank you, Fred, and sorry that we have come in late. Allow me just 1 minute to comment about the debate that you had.
Very briefly, because of time.
Just 1 minute to say that, yes, I do support the President's comment that there should be de-escalation of the fight in the East. But I strongly, oppose the President's seeming to have taken a position, because we cannot afford to take a position in this matter. And because I was watching my colleagues online, they also took a position and were trying to justify, maybe the war against Iran and what Iran is doing in retaliation after it was hit. Of course, I don't think that was the question. The question was, should the president have been that quick to issue a statement, especially where he betrayed Kenya as having taken a position against Iran. And you observed very well that we are friends to both Iran and the US, and that is why we should be, neutral in this matter. But as for de-escalation, that is something that anybody that wishes the world well should call for. But taking sides, that is not anything that we can support. And don't forget, we must not forget that regardless of the reasons that the US and Israel gave for attacking Iran, but there is a procedure before you attack a country. I think they should have taken it to the UN, and they should have been able to get approval and ratification by the UN before they struck Iran. So there are those gaps that need. But anyway, because we were late, let's hope that we'll be able to talk about it another day. Now, talking about the issue of UDA and ODM and the zoning that ODM called for yesterday. First of all, my friend and colleague Senator Mungatana likes calling the opposition a disunited opposition, and I meet him quite severally, even in other areas. But and he has a right to his views. But looking at this UDA-ODM, coalition of sorts, it shows that if there is any disunity that is going to happen, Fred, then it is going to be UDA and ODM. As we speak, UDA insists that they will have to take the deputy president's position in that particular coalition. And then there's a big bone of contention that will be there, and that will bring division, of course, because we know ODM, on the other hand, is demanding, and no less than the party leader has said, hiyo kiti ndio tunarenga sana. So, I mean, that is something that is going to bring a lot of, disunity in this coalition that Senator Mungatana we want to call a united coalition, the broad-based government. It has many names, blood-based, bread-based, and so what we are saying is, now ODM is talking about zoning. But basically, they'll get their time.
We are not in parliament.
They'll get their time.
No, we're not in
parliament.
Yeah.
Basically, I agree with Senator Mungatana on one thing, that, when you are in a coalition, and especially in urban areas, that each of the parties forming this coalition then fronts a candidate, then of course you run the risk of, playing to the advantage of the opponent. And so there should be a particular arrangement between parties that get you into a coalition, whether now UDA and ODM or the united opposition. Because, for example, and Senator Mungatana captured it very well, for example, even Nairobi, say DCP has a candidate, a gubernatorial candidate. Mm-hmm. I mean, Wiper has a gubernatorial candidate. Mm-hmm. DAP Kenya has a gubernatorial candidate. DP has a gubernatorial candidate. Then, of course, they will, split their vote, and the opponent will be at an advantage. So I think it's important that parties forming a coalition come together. Maybe the ideal position should be let them dissolve their parties and form a coalition like Jubilee in 2017, so that then they do nominations for the joint ticket.
Would that work for the united opposition, like forming a bigger party instead of having too many parties in that coalition?
Well, it will depend on what the principals, decide. But I think if it will not be, coming together to form one party, I don't know whether the remaining time to the elections can allow that. But if it will not be bringing the parties together to form one big coalition party, then I think there should be some arrangements between the parties.
We saw the challenges you had during the by-elections, especially in places like Malava, where DAP Kenya and DCP had candidates and one had to pull out at the last minute. Whatever they're facing, you're also facing. Do you agree that this zoning will also be a bone of contention for you?
That's what I'm saying. It affects both sides of the divide. I mean, each side will have to decide on which candidates to front where and which parties will do that. And that is something that can be done in a way. I mean, you can have, an opinion poll, for example, and see whom the stronger candidate is. And regardless of the party that they belong to, then you front that as a joint candidate. So that's also another way. There are many ways of killing a cat.
And before I get to Bwana Kiplagat and Madam Passaris, let's get some feedback on what's happening. What are people saying with regard to this conversation? Do you support this issue of zoning as well? The ODM insists that in its coalition with the UDA party, there has to be zoning as a matter of principle, and that is among the irreducible minimums. The first one was, of course, the running mate's position. And what are people saying? All
right, let's take a look at what the people are saying with regard to the conversation you're having, the UDA-ODM coalition. All right, Collins from Kisumu says ODM is fighting itself instead of fighting for Kenyans. This is pure survival politics. Ruth watching from Nairobi, and she says, let's be honest, this is about 2027 tickets and positions, nothing ideological. We have Brian from Nakuru. If a party can't manage its internal leadership without drama, how will it govern a country? All right, let's cross over to X. ODM is not rebuilding, it's crumbling for relevance. That's Gen Z Voice KE. We have some more. Azimio Strong says leadership changes are normal. The ruling side fears a reorganized opposition. All right. Policy Watch 254 says power struggles signal succession battles, not reform. All right. Finally, Voter KE says if this is rebuilding, it's happening very noisily. Mama County, Nairobi. If this is rebuilding, then that is noisily. Somebody has commented and said that if ODM cannot sort out their issues internally in a peaceful way, then can they really govern the nation in a peaceful way? What do you think about that comment?
You know, what is peaceful? We haven't thrown blows, at each other. What is going on is democracy. It's widening the space. We lost our party leader, and of course that was a big shock to the party. What we're going through right now is something that is anticipated, expected. It's politics, it's people, it's our supporters. We're a movement, it's expected. So I believe that these cracks will soon be settled. We have a very, very strong party leader, and we have very strong structures, I keep saying that, and we have a very strong support base. So, the NDC on the 27th of March will set things in the right direction. The PG yesterday was amazing. It showed even the other side, people that was aligned to the Linda Mwananchi coming and listening. Asotsi was there. I saw Karoli Omondi at one point somewhere hovering, and then he disappeared. Of course, our outgoing SG was not there, but our acting SG was there. The party is strong. And what I want to say to our members, register as voters and just be a bit patient with us. We are going to get it right.
You say the party is strong, Madam Passaris, but this push for zoning indicates otherwise. Your coalition partner UDA is not interested in zoning. They are free. They're saying, okay, fine, let's compete wherever you are. Okay. Even in Nyanza, bring it on.
No, what I got...
Don't you feel that ODM party appears weak when they insist that on this side, just leave it for us, don't come here?
No, you see, we have certain strongholds as ODM. All right. And I don't think there's anything wrong in saying zoning. And, when Mungatana says zoning for Nairobi, we understand, but not across the country. I think there are many counties where zoning will be important. I mean, look at Isiolo recently. We have a support base in Isiolo. We allowed them, we zoned in Isiolo. And we zoned in most of the by-elections that we had because we didn't field a candidate. Had we fielded a candidate, then it would have been, leaving the opposition, even in Bere. I mean, anyway, for me, I feel that zoning has to be done because the coalition whoever will be the partners and the players in the coalition will want to have good numbers in parliament, so that you don't have a hung parliament. You have a president who wants to deliver even more in his second term. Let him then have a parliament that will be able to enable him to deliver, all right, in terms of, you know, approving the things that he wants to do for the country. Because, you know, at the end of the day, you cannot work in isolation. The three arms of a government sometimes have to come together to work for the greater good of the people of Kenya.
A place like Mombasa, which has predominantly been ODM, we now have interest in a UDA Secretary General going for governor there. Is that one of the places you think zoning would work?
I believe that I believe the president is a scientist, and I also believe that politics is also scientific. At the end of the day, we will have to look, and I remember when he came to my position as woman rep of Nairobi, Baba gave me the ticket. And why did he give me the ticket? He says, there's no need to go for nominations. You're way ahead of whoever's coming to compete with you. So at the end of the day, you have to go with the candidate that you think is the most able to deliver the seat for the coalition. So for me, I feel that at the end of the day, when you take a scientific position, you're taking a people's position, because you've already checked who is the most popular candidate in that area. And I believe that we will sit down and we will agree, because what we want is not to have five. We did it with Azimio. We lost a few seats because we had 4 or 5 people standing in the same position, and then we divided the votes. So we can't. I think Nairobi right now, ODM has the strength. And it will continue retaining that strength. And then there are other seats that we have to look at who is the best candidate. So my advice to the candidates, go to your ground, as Mugatana says, do your work. And for us as a political party, this is what I want to say. Okay, and Mugatana, take this message to government, or the government should be listening. Release the political parties fund. Yes, release the political parties fund, because we need that money so that we can also strengthen our base. Because as long as we don't have that money and you have the strength of government behind you, then you're obviously weakening your coalition partner. In a marriage, we have to court each other with total sincerity. So release some money. The political, you owe us 12 billion, give us 5 billion. Let us then go on the ground. You do your thing, we do our thing. And at the end of the day, we're not coming in as a weakling, being weakened because we're being denied what is rightfully ours as a political party.
Bwana Kiplagat, what do you think about that demand that there are some areas, no, actually, across the country, there are areas that should be left for ODM as a coalition partner? Okay,
from where we are standing as a UDA, we believe we have done a lot of groundwork, and the president has been all over the country trying to process the development that is going on, trying to interact with the people thereabout. And it is important that because we don't want to jump the gun, the negotiation between UDA, between Kenya Kwanza and ODM will happen. We don't know what will be the outcome, whether if it will be a coalition party, then at least it reduces the pressure a bit. But I stand for the fact that when we are discussing about forming government, we should also not discuss about what Wananchi can actually discuss. It is the Wananchi to decide whom they elect, whether it is in UDA, whether it is in ODM. For the fact is that things have changed. The ODM of 2022 is not the same ODM of 2026. Neither will be the same ODM of 2027. They still have their own dynamics. You can see another one is Linda Ground, another one is Linda Mwanai. So there are so many dynamics that will happen. But from my own, and these are my own views, if you look at the by-elections that have happened, UDA have come out strongly. Even in areas that ODM might want to say we are going to zone, areas like Western, areas like the coast. So we have done a lot of groundwork, and the groundwork we have been able to do, can they let us harvest in 2027? I believe we are very strong in the coast. I believe we are very strong in Northeastern. I believe we are very strong in Western. I believe we are very strong among the...
There's been even interest in among the candidates in Nyanza.
Among the Ma community. I believe we are very strong in Turkana. So in terms of the changes that has happened, we need, even if we were to do zoning, we do zoning with the realities that are now there. We cannot use the data of 2022 to do zoning in 2027. It won't happen. So what we are telling them is that let us discuss in terms of forming government. And as Honorable Senator Mukatana has put it clearly, forming government is the executive. The legislative component, let the people decide. If you are weak, that weakness will be revealed in 2027 by the people.
So you feel UDA should even field candidates in Nyanza?
I believe UDA should field candidates where they feel they have a chance of winning. If we have a chance of winning in Migori, why not? If we have a chance of winning in Homa Bay, why not? But I believe, in fact, the only place that at least we should agree on the candidature because of the framework is Nairobi. All the other places, let the strong candidates.
Which seats did you have in Nyanza for you to say that now Nyanza?
Look at Kuria.
Come on.
By the way, look at Kisii. We have seats in Kisii. We have seats in Kuria. You know, Honorable Babasari thinks that Nyanza is only the Luo Nyanza.
Let us work on de-escalation here.
It is a possibility that UDA could be interested in fielding candidates in Luo Nyanza.
I honestly believe if we are in a coalition, we will field one candidate.
But
call
maybe,
it zoning, call it what you want to call it.
Maybe.
But we will field one candidate, because if we're going to field two, then we might as well prepare for having no seats in the parliament. Okay. So we as a coalition, history has shown, like if you look at the official opposition, right? What they're saying, or the united opposition, if you look at them, what they're saying, they have 6 or 4 or 5 presidential candidates. And they cannot field 3 candidates. If they do field 3 candidates, and I see that happening anyway, they will definitely not be able to take over the leadership of the country. So in the same way, us as a coalition of UDA, ODM, and other like minds, because that's why we keep saying other like minds, because we see others breaking away from the united opposition and joining the coalition. So ODM is not saying we are with UDA, we are broad-based, and we're going to stick only us two. We're saying, no, this is going to be a polygamous relationship. Okay. We might have other partners, but we were the first ones, we'll be the first wife, okay? So at the end of the day, for me, our coalition cannot field many candidates.
However strong the party.
However strong the coalition is.
I think
we have to field one. So call it zoning, call it the best candidate, call it a scientific approach, one.
Okay.
Honorable Basaris took the mic while
It's okay. Her contribution is really appreciated of that.
Yeah. May I give a very good example? What is wrong with the ODM and UDA fielding a candidate in Soy constituency, for example? They have been doing so. We have never complained, and we shall never complain. What is this rumbling? What will happen? We are not denying you.
ODM is welcome even in the Rift Valley.
Even in the Rift Valley, let them field candidates. I'm saying we have a way out. Because we have not known the architecture of the agreement that will come from the broad-based. If at all we shall come up with a coalition party, then that sorts most of the issues. Yes. But if at all the UDA and ODM will go to the field, then the strength of each of either lies in the strength in parliament. Okay. So where you feel genuinely that you can win this seat, why not invest?
All right. Interesting conversation.
But I also do agree with what Senator Mungatana said, that at the end of the day, the most important thing is the structure of government. And I believe that will form a big basis of our negotiations. How many ministries, how many PSs, so that we can also be able to serve our people. But having said that, I also know that government serves everyone, right? The only thing that we want as a party, because ODM is completely across the country, is that every region that we have our citizens and our people should be developed, because we are from a party that started devolution and believes in devolution. So the more control we have, or the more seats we have in the executive, the better we will be able to drive the agenda of devolution.
Right. Even as UDA and ODM continue forming their coalition, and the party leader has been given the go-ahead to do so, issues around the demands by ODM coming to the fore. They've demanded for the number 2 position, the running mate position, to President William Ruto, and now zoning, that some areas be left specifically for ODM and UDA goes elsewhere. Will it happen? Will it be the biggest bone of contention? Allow me to do something different, because I understand that some of you might be leaving the panel now to attend to a requiem mass for the late Johanna Ngeno, the MP for Emurua Dikir, who passed on at the weekend. And so I'll do something different. I want to give each one of you a minute just to give your message of condolence on his passing on. Then we'll come back and continue, finish up our conversations. Let's start with you, Senator Mungatana, on this one.
So first of all, I want to say the people of Emurua Dikir, they lost a great man, a good man. When Johanna Ngeno was a chair of the committee in charge of lands and housing, he came to Tana River County and we hosted him there, and we had a very good time. So what I know about him is after the work, he was interested in seeing where are the crocodiles, where's the river Tana. So we took him there, a big portion in Hola. And I told him, Mheshimiwa, you can enter the canoe so that you have a feeling. He said, no. And I told him, man, you're a strong man. What's so? I said, no. And actually the sergeant at arms came and said, no, we are not going to allow members of parliament. But I said, there's nothing wrong. He didn't have time to join us in the crocodile feast afterwards, but a humorous man, a good man, a gentleman. That's what I know about him. And so we lost a good man, and we wish the young widow strength, the family strength, during this time. God has a way of also helping people to rise to the occasion. So we wish them well, and we pray for them in this difficult time. That's all I would say.
Thank you. Senator Nyoto.
I also would want to, first of all, send my deepest condolences to the family of the late Johanna Ngeno and the people of Emurua Dikir, whom he has represented for 3 consecutive terms. This is one of the most courageous leaders of our time, who was very forthright in, pointing out any violation of the rights of his people. Any violation of the rights of his people, and we remember him for having opposed very strongly the reported attempt at land grabbing in his constituency, and everybody saw him confronting the police who had opened fire on the residents of that particular, I think it was Angata, someplace. And so this was a very courageous man, a man who really wanted to serve his people, a man who valued life, a man who was very much opposed to violation of human rights, and a man who thought that the police must be responsible with the arms that they are given to protect life and property and not to hurt Kenyans. And so we wish the family, the young family, all the best, and we want to tell them that because God, directs everything, that the destiny of the wife and the children will be directed by God, because God is faithful. And finally, there must be an independent investigation into that chopper crash. And I'm not saying that I'm suspicious of anything, but we know that in the past we have had, such accidents that were basically not just, accidents. And so that is why, especially for somebody who was opposed to land grabbing of a very big chunk of land, which of course was reported to have some strong people, powerful people in government were reported to have had an interest. We must conduct a very independent and comprehensive investigation into that crash, just to be sure that there was no foul play in that particular crash. Otherwise, rest in peace, Johanna Ngeno.
Okay, thank you. I want to take this opportunity to pass a word of condolences to the family of my friend Honorable Johanna Ngeno, the people of Emurua Dikir, and the artist whom he really supported up to the last day. In fact, from before the crash, he was coming from a function supporting artists who are coming up. So we really want to say to the artists, you know, you have missed somebody who you relied upon in terms of developing your talents, to the entire music industry, and to the people who really fought with the Mheshimiwa Ngeno in terms of bringing justice in terms of the land issues that was happening in around those areas of Angata, Paraguay, and the entire Gilgoris and Mukwadikire. I knew Joanna Ngeno personally. He was a great friend of mine. He has come to my place severally. We are all the functions. I think he has attended over 10 functions in my constituency. We have had a meal together in my home, and we have actually lost a leader whom his future looked bright, and what we know from the preliminary information that we have, because I was in Eldoret at that time, and we went to receive the bodies at the MTRH, and the accident was horrific. And the weather wasn't good. I don't want to blame the pilot per se, but I think he could have done better in terms of looking at the visibility, which he had actually done an emergency landing, only to go again after around 10 minutes to try to fly. So it is rather sad that we lose one of the most aspiring leaders within the Kalenjin land in that manner. So we say to our brother, rest in peace, and as you had said, your spirits will live on. Thank you.
Thank you. Finally, Madam Basari.
Joanna Ngeno, he was the chair of the Housing Committee where I'm a member. A very, very good leader. We went around the whole country touring and looking at inspecting projects. I don't think there's a constituency or a county that he didn't go where there was a project. He has steered the Housing Committee from inception, because it's a new committee in this parliament. And for me, he worked very hard. He was visionary. He had a very good relationship with the head of state. You can't be a chair of a committee that is so crucial to the presidency if you don't have a very good relationship. And for us as a committee, we know that he had that good relationship. I would love one day in the future to read about the kingpin of the Kipsigis, because everybody used to call him kingpin, and I think it's a position he took with pride. What I feel sad about this country is how leaders sometimes say things without thinking and without sensitivity. We have a young widow, Naya, and her children, and here you are, probably even before she had heard the news, just because you got the information, you're in a public rally and you announce it. There is this decorum and this human way of dealing with accidents like that, where you don't make an announcement until you know that the next of kin have been informed. So that for me was very wrong. And then there's also this whole trying to make it look like it's something more. I want an investigation, and I feel that this is where the country sometimes, or the government, fails. We need to be able to understand why. But for me, when people have already drawn conclusions, even if you come up with the correct why, I saw somewhere somebody saying bring in Scotland Yard. Whatever the case, for me, I think right now it's to stand with the people of Rural Gikir, to stand with the country. We've lost a good leader, and I hope that one day we'll be able to read his story, because he came from really humble beginnings, and celebrate the life that he had and the role that he played in dignified housing for the people of Kenya.
And as far as investigations into that chopper crash are concerned, makachero wakusanya ushahidi, wapelelezi wamaliza kukusanya ushahidi muhimu eneo la ajali la helikopta kule Nandi. Ni habari yenye kwenye ukurasa wa pili wa gazeti la Taifa Leo. Makachero kutoka kwenye DCI wanaendelea na kazi zao. Yes, Emurua Dikir MP, the late Johanna Ngeno, will be buried this Friday in Narok County. But today, family and friends will be meeting at the Nairobi Baptist Church for a Requiem Mass this morning. And most of the members here will be attending that one. I think it's time we take a look at some feedback before we come for our final comments now. What are people saying online? Because now we need to finalize our discussions. There's one more headline we need to look at here, and that has to do with Sifuna. Sifuna has remained in the headlines, incidentally. But there is a very interesting headline on the front page of the People Daily that talks about the possibility that James Orengo could run for president, given the kind of backing that he has from this team. And now that you've already given your message of condolences to the family, I think it's time we come back and take a look at this piece of news. There has been an invitation by the DCP party leader for Sifuna to join the ranks and file of the united opposition. How could that change the dynamics of the united opposition? And do you think that this, what you're seeing on the front page of the Daily, the People Daily, could also change the game? James Orengo running for president. Senator Newton.
Well, Fred,
as make your final comments as well.
Well, Fred, anybody and everybody that satisfies the criteria for running for president is free to run for president, and indeed any other office in the land, because as you know, next year every other elected position will be declared vacant, and so including that of the president. And so anybody and everybody has a right to run for whichever office that they feel they may want to run for, as long as they are qualified as per the requirements by the Constitution. About Edwin Sifuna joining DCP, that was just an invite by my party leader. And that time, Rigathi-Gachagua said that if ODM kicks you out, then you are free to come and join our party DCP. And anybody and everybody is free to, of course, promote their parties and to invite good leaders like Sifuna to join their parties. As per whether, or as to whether Sifuna is going to join DCP, that will be his decision to make. But from what I have seen him, the trajectory that he, Babu Owino, James Orengo, and others, Caleb Amisi, and others are taking, I think they want to come up there with their own formation, which for me is good enough because, of course, having come from Mount Kenya, I'm very happy with them. And I pray that they form their own formation, because I can tell you, Fred, that the only strategy that William Ruto had was to isolate Mount Kenya and, you know, paint an image in the Kenyan political landscape that, see, my presidency has no problem. The only people who are complaining are Mount Kenya people, because, in quotes, they don't want development to go to other regions. And that is the strategy and narrative that he had. But now, with the coming of Sifuna, I mean, Babu Owino, James Orengo, Caleb Amisi, and those others, now that particular narrative is shattered. But by the way, it was still, you know, a very weak narrative, because and I've been saying, I would have wanted to know, because that narrative was very pursued, I would have wanted to know which part of Mount Kenya Fred Matiang'i comes from, which part of Mount Kenya Kalonzo comes from, which part of Mount Kenya Eugene Wamalwa comes from. So for me, I'm very happy. In fact, Sifuna and Babu should form their own formation. Yeah, but if they choose a DCP, we'll be there.
We'll be getting a look at one of the stories about Sifuna and his next move in a short while. But Madam Pasaris, he was a no-show at yesterday's PG meeting, meaning that it's as good as done. And as far as his involvement with ODM party,
I won't say that. He still remains a life member of ODM. For me, this has been the pattern. He hasn't been attending the structured meetings of ODM, from the Central Committee to the NEC, and he hasn't been relaying the decisions made by the structures of ODM. So we did what we had to do and let that go through its process. And the fact that he didn't even come yesterday, Caleb Amisi was there, Asotsi was there, you know. So for me, Babu sent his apologies.
And this is weeks to the NDC.
Yes, and Babu sent his apologies. So for me, I feel, you know, ODM will settle, all right? And that's all I have to say to our members. And when it comes to 2027, for me, I think the more the merrier. I mean, if Orengo is planning on running for president, wish him well. I think he had a hard chance getting re-elected as governor, so maybe go for a higher position. That's okay.
Right.
And because we were in CI and we saw the ground is definitely shifted for him. So when it comes to Sifuna, Babu, another alliance, you see the biggest problem is, and our party leader put it very well yesterday, is the reason why we have the Linda Ground and the Linda Mwananchi. We were firmly in broad base, okay, because that's where Baba left us, and we are with broad base. So we cannot have factions of ODM now saying Ruto must go, or doing something contrary to what the broad-based arrangement was. So we were being true to our partnership with the UDA party, and that's why we're in broad-based, and we did it to basically when Baba did it, it saved the country from a trajectory that was not going to be correct,
right.
So or good for the country. So we stay there. And if you are with ODM and you know that we're in a broad-based arrangement and you are going against it, then of course that's why you have your Linda Mwananchi, yes, and we have our Linda Ground. So
basically time is up.
Yeah. So I mean, I won't say that because I really hope that, I think when Sifuna was initially going through this, he was thinking about, the Gen Z movement. I need the Gen Zs. I want them to re-elect me as senator. Now I hear he might be the deputy leader for DCP, or he might be the presidential candidate. Okay. As I said, it's going to be very interesting to watch how DCP and the United Opposition unfold. As the coalition between UDA and ODM, as our party leader says, we're looking to partner with like minds. So who knows, we might just get quite a bit of their share into our coalition and be able to steer the country.
Before I give Dr. Mugatana and Bwana Kiplagat a chance to give their final words, let's watch this story about Edwin Sifuna and his next move.
Kitu ambaye sitafanya ni kujiunga na hawa ndugu zetu hapa ambao wanauliza maswali atiwajibiwe. Huwezi kupata haki katika hii serikali. Mnamaliza wakati. Wewe ukiwa kondoo unaenda kutafuta haki kwa mahakama ya fisi, ole wako. Kwa niaba ya chama kizima cha ODM, kwa sababu chama kinabeba wenye akili na washenzi, nataka kwa niaba ya wale washenzi niseme pole kwa matusi ambayo unaelekezewa.
Sasa tumesikia William Ruto amesema akinunua ODM hataki Sifuna, atamfukuza. Edwin Sifuna, I want to tell you my brother, you are a good leader. Ukifukuzwa na William Ruto, you are welcome to DCP.
So, Bwana Kiplagat, a lot happening. Of course, Sifuna's position now, the biggest discussion. We've talked about whether or not a third force would be necessary. But the talk about James Orengo definitely does throw a spanner into the works. I know Dr. Mugatana worked with Bwana Orengo a few years back, but what do you make of that?
Okay, from where we are standing as myself and also as UDA party, we could have wished that the problem within ODM was they are able to sort it amicably and come as one. But from looking at the way things are, the fact that Sifuna has been meeting in most of the critical functions, in most of the critical meetings of ODM is as good as done. What I know is that they might form their own party, and that party they will might christen it as for the young people. So I doubt whether James Orengo will foot into that bill.
But young people do not necessarily have to vote for a young person.
No, you see, I'm also a political analyst, so I look at things the way it will come up. So chances are the Sifuna group will bolt out of ODM or by 27th, and
it's done for them.
You have seen they have also booked. They have also, is it booked this Linda Mwananchi party in the political parties?
We are not certain it's them. They denied the involvement in
the
other people.
Of course, your guess is as good as mine. So they'll bolt anyway, and they might not join the Nyotu's team of DCP and the disunited opposition. I think they'll form into the third alliance, because I see him gravitating on mostly the young people, and that is the narrative that they'll be driven on. So in terms of James Orengo, I think he will just give them the fatherly the fatherly advice. I doubt whether he will be among the leaders within that front. So let us see how it evolves. One day in politics is like a whole year. So let's see what. But our wish is that the ODM could have been able to sort issues and remain intact, so that we actually negotiate when they are one. But things are the way they are. Let's see how it comes out.
I'll give you an opportunity immediately after you finish. Have you finished?
No, I'm just saying, I wish that ODM could have been able to sort these things up and come as one.
Okay.
But as things stand the way it is, I think Sifuna and his group have bolted, and we see how the things are spanning. The beauty of politics, there is no enmity in politics, and there is no ruling out who can partner with who. Okay. Yeah, so things
you seem to disagree quite strongly.
Okay, look, let me tell you what. I don't know what he means by should have come as one. At the end of the day, ODM is still ODM, and ODM is one, if you're calling it one. At the end, for me, I feel that when we come as ODM, we're coming as ODM with our full support base. Now, you might be looking at Sifuna and Babu, and there's still a long way to go. But for me, if they bolt out, but they don't necessarily bolt out with everybody from ODM. We are still a party with a huge support base. I think there is this generation that we call the Gen Z, all right? And that was up for grabs for everyone. And I believe that we as ODM have got our own Gen Zs within ODM who will stay with us. There are Gen Zs that will be with UDA. There are Gen Zs that will be with DCP. There are Gen Zs that will be alone as a standalone. I mean, I feel that if Sifuna were to go with DCP, knowing that DCP, the leadership in DCP, did not stand for anything that Raila Amolo Odinga stood for, right? He would stand to lose more than to gain, because you come from Baba's party and you're hoping to move. People were saying, oh, you have the party, we have the people. This is, for me, there's going to be a trying point in the future. But we have the people when it comes to ODM. ODM is firmly behind our party leader and the structures of ODM. Okay. You're ODM Damu, you're ODM Damu. You're not going to move because Sifuna moved. You're not. And I think the NDC will prove that.
Okay.
Maybe just one.
I'll give you an opportunity.
Maybe just
I have time.
Maybe just one thing. You see, in politics, when you are making decisions, you don't make it when you have closed your eyes. You make it what you are seeing. So the fact of the matter is that Sifuna and the Babu Owino are in ODM. And what I'm saying is, I wish that split wasn't. They would have come together. So maybe so that Basari doesn't.
Guys didn't split with Gachagua, we would have been together.
No. May I finish? May I finish what I'm saying? So
too much time on this.
No. I'm saying. You see, once somebody gets out of your space, to assume that that space will remain the way it was.
A lot has changed today.
A lot will change. Yeah. So, but what I'm saying is, as from UDA, we need to be cognizant of the dynamics of politics and have a medicine to cure every dynamics that happen in politics.
Yeah. Dr. Mungetana, I know we've talked about Sifuna here. You may wish to comment about his moves, but I'm more interested from your end on this suggestion that James Orengo could run for president with the support of the Sifuna-led team, Babu Owino, Osotsi, and the rest. Sifuna, what he stands for is a senior counsel. He's been in the trenches long enough, probably longer than most of the politicians on this bench. He's served in cabinet. He's served in parliament, both houses.
He hasn't been longer.
No, not Sifuna. I'm talking about Orengo. Talking about Orengo. Sorry for that. Talking about Orengo and the suggestion that he could run for president. Do you agree that that could actually be something to look forward to? Probably, perhaps the only person with that kind of stature after Raila Odinga.
Running for president, I want to say a few things because I've been in this space a bit for some time. Running for president requires, number one, name recognition. Okay, that's why to date, any Moi holder name, any Raila Odinga holder name who declares for president immediately becomes somebody of interest. Okay. Now, James Orengo made his biggest mistake when he left national politics to go to the village and become a governor of Siaya. And from the information we got, he mismanaged the county there in Siaya.
Are you saying a governor cannot run for
I am
president?
telling you, name recognition, I don't know if you are following my argument. Name recognition is critical for running for president. You see, that's why people who will always take seriously Kalonzo Musyoka, whatever you think of him. But when you mention Kalonzo Musyoka, Marsabit, they know who it is. Mombasa, they know who it is. Tana River, they know who it is. You know, name recognition is critical. If you say Gideon Moi today, everybody knows, not because of him, because of the Moi name. If you say Kenyatta, any Kenyatta, anybody will know. There's name recognition in a presidential race. James Orengo lost that completely.
Wow.
Because he made the fatal mistake of abandoning national politics for village politics. He went to be a Siaya governor. And when did you ever hear a Siaya governor making...
That's a serious indictment.
I am telling you, this is serious, and I'm telling you because I've been around this space for some time. I'm speaking with authority.
Once you go to county...
If you go to the village, just stay in the village. Don't try to come up. And that's why he's so frustrated, because naturally, he was supposed to be playing at the national platform. He made a mistake. And now to try and say he's going to come and run, who knows James Orengo in all these other places?
This is someone who's run for president.
Hey, let me tell you, it will not help him, and he will even make a bigger mistake. You should know, a good wrestler should know when to stop wrestling, when to leave the stage. He is at that stage where he should know he is retiring. If he tried the Siaya governorship now, he'll be embarrassed for life. So he needs to come to face with reality, play the role of an advisor. If he's advising this other team or whatever, he should retire with dignity, because we hold him in very high dignity for us who are in that space for many years.
Right.
And it is time for Kenyan politicians to learn when to call a spade a spade. It's time, when you know it's time to retire, a good dancer always knows when to leave the
Senator,
stage.
do you agree with your colleague that it's done for...
Yes, but before I comment on that, allow me to say something that Honorable Basari said.
Very briefly, because
She
our time is
said
up.
that if Sifuna joins, she should not join DCP because DCP does not stand for anything that Raila Odinga stood for.
Exactly.
DCP stands for for human rights.
Shares.
And Raila Odinga, for all his life, fought for human rights. I mean, violation of human rights was something that Raila Odinga was opposed to all his life. And that is what DCP generally, stands for. So you cannot say that DCP does not stand for anything that the later Raila Odinga stood for. Number two, she says that if Sifuna, Babu, Orengo leave ODM, that it don't have any impact because, I mean, they will just leave and ODM will remain as one. But we have been here. We saw what happened to Kano in 2002 when George Saitoti, Kalonzo Musyoka, that group, when it left with a very big chunk of Kano members and Kano followers. So ODM cannot be an exception. When the Secretary General leaves, people like Babu Owino, people like James Orengo, you cannot be realistic if you say that ODM will remain the same, strong, and that is why ODM is crying and talking about zoning, because ODM knows it is not as strong as it was. It knows that UDA can actually challenge it even in Luo Nyanza. If it was during Raila's time, I mean, nobody would even be worried about UDA fronting candidates. It is a self-indictment for ODM to ask for zoning. Even in Nyanza, it knows it is not as strong as it was, and that is why it is crying. Finally, I agree totally with my colleague and friend, Senator Mungatana. When you become a county governor, you become a village politician. It is true. You just need to look at people like James Orengo. You look at people like Mutula Kilonzo Jr., people who people used to hear about every day. Where are they now? Wow. So I agree totally with Senator Mungatana that if you want, if you have an ambition to pursue national politics, then a county governor is not a position that you should even aspire
I did not expect that here. This is the first time I'm hearing this. So if at all you're aspiring to become a county governor, according to Senators Nyoto and Mungatana,
yes, you are concluding your politics.
Wow, interesting. Thank you so much, Senator Nyoto, Senator Mungatana, Bwana Kiplagat, MP Soy, and Woman Rep Nairobi, Esther Passaris. Before you go, there's a question we're asking, and that's a conversation that's coming after the break. Being a Wednesday, we do relationship discussions, and today we are asking, is a modern man getting scared of settling down? Or is it that commitment has lost its value? That's the question we are asking. And I'll give you about 10 seconds only just to answer me that one, Madam Passaris.
Yeah, I mean, I think the modern man is taking longer to settle down because he wants to feel settled himself before he takes on added responsibility. But there are women who are also empowered. So I feel when the time is right and it feels right, just go for it.
Yeah. Kofi Olomide just got married for the third time at 69. Do you agree that the modern man is actually scared of settling down?
I think the problem is there's a lot of Western influence currently, unlike the way the traditional cultures used to dictate. And those Western cultures have really gotten into our young people, and that has unsettled things a bit. There are some ideologies that initially we didn't have within the African context that these young people now have. But I believe as parents we need to talk to the young people so that at least they can be able to settle the way we used to settle. So the problem is the effect from external, which is really affecting the young people, especially the boy child.
The issue, some are saying that it could be that commitment has lost its value. In 2026, the dividends a young man would get from marriage are very minimal. Do you agree, Senator Nyoto?
Yes, it's also about our social fabric. I mean, the impact of religion and everything. I don't think people believe in marriage per se the way they used to believe in marriage. And the influence, as DK says, of the internet and everything, people watching TV and having some imaginations of an artificial relationship, which then you do not get when it comes to the ground in quotes. Because mambo ni different kwa ground, so I think that is a problem. And today's man also does not want to take responsibility. Yes. And what Esther Passaris also says is true, that with this empowered woman, and we have had problem empowering the girl child at the expense of the boy child, right from 1985, the Beijing conference of 1985. I mean, we have for decades now been empowering the girl child against a boy child. So we have a boy child who is supposed to deal with an empowered girl child, while the boy child is not empowered himself. So I think there are very many issues that are coming to play into this, but the modern man does not want to take responsibility, and they also want to adventure. I mean, yes, I mean, you need to sample as many women as possible as the modern man, and that is why we have these problems.
Dr. Mungatana, what do you think is a problem?
I find this kind of conversations a bit off, because I'm quite traditional and maybe not keeping up with the times. But if I met my wife the way I met her, On the first day, I told her, you are going to be my wife. You're going to be my wife. So if you have any things, I don't know, relationship with what, just know you are going to be my wife.
From day one?
From day one. So a real man, and a real man is not modern or old or a real man. When you meet her, you meet the one, you will know, and you must make a decision. You don't need to hang around what. In Pokomo tradition, you don't even have courtship. I can't bring a girl to my father and tell my dad that, oh, he's my girlfriend. That concept did not exist. You come to introduce a woman that is going to bear you children and a partner for you in life. So these stories of, playing like Europeans, weakling, we should stop being weak. If you meet the one and you know you've met the one, make the decision and take the responsibility. And that is somebody's child, somebody's girl. So if you are not ready to pay the rent, pay the mortgage, feed her, clothe her like the way her father was doing, then don't. Just mind your business. And ukiona anakuja hivi kwenda hivi.
Piga kona.
Yeah, but if you know, if you're a real man, you make your decisions.
All right.
Thank you.
The real men out there, what do you think? Is a modern man, and Senator Mungatana says there's no modern man, it's just a man. Is a modern man scared of settling down, or has commitment simply lost its value? That's a conversation after the break. Once again, thank you, Senator Mungatana, Senator Nyoto, MP David Kiplagat, and Woman Representative Nairobi County, Esther Passaris. Thank you so much for your time at TV47. Don't go anywhere. Is the modern man afraid of settling down?